I'm Insomniac. Should I smoke this?
The should I smoke this thing is a complete fucking joke. And he's just got garbage palate and he's rude.
Taking over. Some hoodlum. Spit my business. I'm a hoodlum. Taking over.
Alright, Garbage Palate Gang, it is your man Insomniac. We're getting into another review. This one is from a brand called Drunk Chicken Cigars. No, I am not kidding. I'm sure there's some type of story behind that name. I don't know what it is. And if you look at the band here, there's literally a drunk chicken on there. Personally, I'm not sure how to take this. I can't really figure out in my own mind if I think this is actually pretty cool and or funny, or if it's kind of just gimmicky and ridiculous. But as I always say, I don't really give two shits about the name of a cigar or even what the band looks like, as long as it's a great smoking experience, so we are going to find that out in this review. The band overall, I think, does kind of look gimmicky and cheap, but at the same time, Drunk Chicken Cigars isn't necessarily a serious name in my opinion, so this kind of goes with the childish, playful, well, being drunk's not childish. I don't recommend any kids getting drunk, that's not what I'm saying. You gotta make a lot of clarifications when you have a YouTube channel, but anyway, it kind of goes with the whole lighthearted, you know, I wouldn't expect some serious, beautifully artistic type band stuck on this cigar with a name like Drunk Chicken Cigars. Anyway, to look at the more important part, which is the cigar itself, this is a ring gauge that I don't prefer at all. There you go, get a better look there, but the cigar itself looks really nice. It's got a really good roll, great consistent color to the wrapper. You can see a nice oily sheen there. You have one little imperfection under my finger here, but that's not a big deal. The roll is practically seamless. Really no big monster seams or veins going through here. And it's neatly rolled. You can see all the way around here. It's not lumpy. It's not a mess. Here's a better close-up of the wrapper. So it's a really dark Maduro and a pretty good looking one at that. The very top of the end cap, I feel like has a little bit of slop to it, but I can make out where the seam is. That's no big deal. Feel of the pack is consistent all the way through. It is definitely on the harder side. The wrapper of this cigar smells like a little bit of mixed spices, but actually the main aroma I get off the wrapper is pretty unique. It's peppermint. That's pretty nice. Really nice sweetness to it. And the foot reminds me of cookies, like some kind of plain, like sugar cookies. So a nice sweetness to the aroma overall from the wrapper and the foot. All right, let's cut this and see what it tastes like on the cold draw. Pre-light draw to cigars on the tight side, a lot tighter than I like. I'm definitely getting air through there. The cigar is going to be lightable and smokable, but that's definitely not an acceptable draw in my book. Probably because of the lack of flow going through this cigar on the cold draw. I'm not really getting anything for flavors, so we're gonna have to light this thing up to figure that out. The lit flavors are what counts anyway, so let's set this thing on fire and see what flavors we get lit.
I'm a hoodlum.
Getting the cigar smoke output here is pretty big, as you can see there on screen. There is a big but though. You don't really get a great mouthful of smoke on the first draw. You have to puff on it a few times. Maybe that's because of how tight the draw is on the cigar, I'm not sure. It is worth noting on a positive note that since lighting it, the draw is a little bit better. Still tighter than I like, but it's a little bit better than it was. I am getting enough to get some decent flavors though. The draw flavors are mostly just a smooth earth here right in the beginning. You have a little bit of mixed spice, and there is one other kind of kitcheny spice that stands out in particular, and that is parsley. So a kind of light and unoffensive additional flavor to the earth. Retrohale is just black pepper. It's not overly bold here in the beginning. It's pretty smooth, very enjoyable, easy to pick out. And yeah, that's the beginning of the cigar. Let's take it between here and the end of the first third and see what we get.
Spit my business. I'm a hoodlum.
Here we are about 25 minutes in. And yeah, we're only this far in and we're 25 minutes in, so this might be a long-ass cigar. And you can see how much smoke's coming off of there, but I'm actually still having the exact same situation as the very beginning, where your initial draw gives you almost nothing. You have to puff on it a few times, then you get a pretty decent mouthful of smoke. That's actually pretty agitating, so I'm hoping that whatever the issue is in there, we burn past it soon and I can just smoke it normally. Tiny bit of progression in the flavors. It's basically a leathery earth now, and you have what I would call a watery, unsweetened dark chocolate mixed in there with it. So you have a little bit of a kind of dark cocoa in there, but it's not what you'd normally think of. It's not like eating a dark chocolate bar or something like that. It's very watery is the best way to put it. It's a watered down dark cocoa. Your retrohale is interesting at this point because we started off with a pretty nice black pepper spice, but not overly bold. It's actually more faint now than it was in the beginning. So you still have black pepper, but less of it. And you have a little bit of a salted natural tobacco that happens on the retrohale. So that's interesting. It's definitely not bad, but burning slow as hell and not smoking to my liking in terms of the draw still. But we have a lot of cigar left to go, so let's take this to the end of the first third and see what happens.
Where the bottom we at?
Here we are at the end of the first third. We are 45 minutes in. I'm not really sure at this point if I should cancel my dinner plans or bring my bed outside in the garage, but it feels like I'm going to be smoking and reviewing this for the rest of the day, maybe? 45 minutes in at the end of the first third. Holy crap. Anyway, like you just saw there on camera, the burn looks pretty good, but I've touched it up once, no big deal. Ash is nice and solid, and I'm very happy to report that I'm not having to pull on it 2, 3, 4 times to get a proper mouthful of smoke. It's actually doing a lot better here at this point. Flavors aren't really doing a whole lot. They're definitely not bad, but it's still the same general kind of thing, just now in a little bit different order. Now you have a salted mix of leather and earth. That's most of the flavor profile. And you still have a tiny bit of a almost completely stomped out dark cocoa, watery chocolate, whatever you want to call it, way in the background. Retrohale is shaped up a little bit. You do have some of that black pepper now back specifically where you could make it out, and you have some mild mixed spices. So definitely not bad. I'm just waiting for something else to happen. But apparently we have about 4 hours left to go, so plenty of time. Let's take this to the midway point and see what we get next.
Come on, hoodlum.
Midway point, an hour and 15 minutes in. Needed one more burn touch up. Seems to be burning a little bit faster on this side at this point than on this side. You can see there where I had to touch it up. Smoke output is still pretty good, but the flavors are kind of going in the wrong direction. They're kind of diminishing and simplifying even past where they were in the previous updates. So still not bad, but kind of boring. The flavor profile here on the draw is just salted natural tobacco, leather, and earth. That's it. Retrohale has shifted a little bit. That is actually now just red pepper, and it does have a little bit more boldness to it, so a little bit of progression on the retrohale. Strength of this cigar is medium plus, so you feel it a bit, that's for sure. It's definitely on the bolder side, but not too strong. Body is a little bit under that, so the flavors are pretty clear that I'm getting, and they're fairly simple, so they're easy to pick out. But the body really isn't huge, doesn't have a lot of presence, really doesn't leave a lasting impression. I'd say it's about a 6.5 out of 10 for body. Okay, well, I'm going to smoke this to the beginning of the final third, and I'll see you there.
Where the bottom we at?
We are an hour and 52 minutes in at the beginning of the final third, and as you can see here, having the same issue. It's burning great on this side. It doesn't want to burn on this side. We are up to 4 burn touch-ups. Definitely not the worst I've seen, but it's getting a little annoying. Flavor-wise, there's almost nothing to talk about. The draw flavors are exactly the same. The only difference on the draw is I'm picking up a lot of heat now, so I'm getting a lot of hot smoke. It feels like it's kind of burning out the roof of my mouth. Before I get any dumb comments down below, anybody who's been watching this channel for more than 2 days knows that I smoke pretty damn slow, so I'm definitely not over smoking this cigar. The only change is the retrohale. It is now a pretty bold red pepper. That's nice. Otherwise, everything's exactly the same. Strength and body are the same, so not much else to talk about here. I'll take this down as far as I can, and I'll give you my conclusion. We are 2 hours and 10 minutes in at the wrap-up. Could actually take it a little bit further than that, but the smoke is really getting too hot at this point, for me anyway, to enjoy. Speaking of enjoyment, well, let's put it like this. The flavors I got weren't bad. Burn wasn't great, but honestly, I don't have a lot of luck with most 60 ring gauge cigars. And otherwise, it was borderline one-dimensional. You heard me describe the same kind of few flavors for 2 hours and 10 minutes. Really never got too strong on me, but at the same time, it was stronger than it was flavorful in my experience. I was kind of bored. My mouth just generally feels kind of tired. The big plus that I can bring up here, though, is because the flavors weren't bad, And because it burns for a long time, I don't know what the cigar costs. I didn't look it up before the review. You got to go back to my info screen. I'm sure I'll look it up before I put it in. But if it's not too expensive of a cigar and you're just looking for something decent to smoke while you're doing other stuff, there's really not a lot to think about here, and it's bang for your buck in terms of your kind of dollar per hour, as it were, because this thing burned for a very long time. Now, what I can tell you is that I only got one of these. I really don't like doing reviews when I only have one sample of any particular cigar, because I don't know if the burn would be better on the other ones or the draw would be better, or I'd get different flavors. But this is all I got, so I have to base the review on this. Based on this, like I said, not a bad smoke, but pretty damn boring. So take that and do what you want with it. If you've had this cigar, leave a comment, tell everybody what you thought of it, and I'll see you at the next one.
I'm a hoodlum.